My husband teaches us how to do nice diapers.
Just sometimes a little humor
Get your
can
story
get you
out.
through.
Well, hi. I'm Jennifer North, and I am a classic case of confused gender programming. Whoever programmed me decided to make me trans. But if that wasn't going to be challenging enough, they also made me 6'4". I mean, come on, couldn't I have been like 5'3" and a size 6? They did a good job on the hands, but the feet, why did they have to make them so damn big? I mean, it's a problem. I mean, have you ever tried to find a pair of Navy slingbacks in a women's size 13? Good luck. You know, part of it also could have been environmental because I'm an only child. Dad wanted a boy, Mom wanted a girl, now they're both happy. But, you know, being an only child, and especially a white male only child, came with a certain amount of privilege, but it also came with some responsibilities. And one of those was my education. And when I was 13, I was enrolled in this rather exclusive boys' boarding school up in Ojai. It's co-ed now, but back then it was just for boys. Horny, pimply teenage boys who thought about the Roman Empire all day long. And I was part of a unique class. I would dare say probably the most unique class in the 100-plus year history of the school. Because out of a graduating class of 33, 3 of us have now come out as trans. Seriously, 3. Nearly 10%. And nobody knows why. But that means that my class produced just as many trans women as we did doctors or lawyers or inept politicians. And I guess we really were the first co-ed class. Now, you know, there are a lot of perks with graduating from a prep school, and one of them is that they have these incredible reunions every 5 years or so. Class by class, we get invited to come up and spend the weekend at the school. And it's always the first weekend in June after commencement, so we have the whole campus to ourselves. We stay overnight in the dorms and eat in the dining room and can finally legally drink on campus. And they really roll out the red carpet, and there's a big banquet on Saturday night for the whole school and all the classes. And there, of course, is the inevitable requests for donations, but you know, it's worth it because we get to be 17 again for the weekend, and that's priceless. You know, I try and get there a little early and visit some of the places that I have special memories on, but I always seem to end up in my dorm room from my senior year because that's where I spent the worst day of my life, June 12th, 1966. It was the Sunday before commencement, and my parents were driving up from LA for the weekend, and you know, back then there were no cell phones or any way to communicate with them. And just that morning, my faculty advisor had come by to inform me that I wouldn't be graduating the next day with my class. I had a D in chemistry and an F in math, and I was going to have to go to summer school to get my diploma. Well, I was pretty devastated. I mean, after 4 long years, I wasn't going to get to walk across the stage with the rest of my classmates. And my parents were on their way up to Ojai to witness my shame and their disappointment. And I'm waiting in that room for their arrival, and then I deliver the news in person. And my mother starts to cry, and my dad just looks at me with this look that I will never forget. It was a look of depression and concern, and it's a look that a parent only reserves for their offending sibling. And boy, I had disappointed him and very possibly mortgaged my own future. He reminds me that there is a war in Vietnam, and I'm nearly 18, and no college has accepted me yet. So no diploma, no college, no student deferment. And the gravity of all this is really starting to sink in. And I'm really just terrified and depressed and feeling very alone. And I have to tell you, that room seems a lot smaller to my adult frame these days. But boy, back then, it wasn't small enough to hide in. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to sleep that night. And my dad stayed up with me, and we talked. Nothing special, no lecture, no recrimination. We just talked all night, right up until breakfast the next morning. It was my dad who got me through the night of my worst day. And then my poor parents had to suffer through commencement of the rest of my class later. And you can imagine our drive back to LA was rather quiet. But my dad was really unbelievable. I mean, he helped me get enrolled in summer school, and he drove me there every day and made sure I made up those classes and got my diploma. And I went to college and graduated with honors, and I've had a really successful career, but that still remains the worst day of my life. There have been other bad days. I mean, come on. There was the day that I hit rock bottom and checked into Betty Ford, and the day I found out I had prostate cancer, and the day my girlfriend found out about my secret life. But none of them were as bad as that day in June of '66. And I made it through that one. And that was probably the greatest lesson from my expensive prep school education. And it made my coming out that much easier, because I realized, how hard could it be? I mean, I'd made it through that day with the help of my dad and his belief in my future and his love. And so this coming out thing wasn't going to be that hard. And it was really time for me to be who I was. Now, we've got another reunion coming up in a couple of years, and I understand that those other two girls are going to be there. And none of us have ever seen each other in person, so it's going to be a very special weekend. And I've got my dress all picked out for the banquet, and I did finally find those Navy slingbacks. Jimmy Choo. Who would have guessed? Hey, I'm Jennifer North. Thank you for listening to my story.